Ainhoa, and I wish to present on the Speedy trial. Speaking about Guantanamo, it is imperative to consider morally. First of all, the judicial processes are not adequate. Guantanamo violates human rights and the presumption of innocence. It is not fair to detain a prisoner for a long period of time without charges and without a trial. One of the main problems is that the suspect doesn't even have the opportunity to prove his own innocence in a trial. Some people would think that these acts are justified just because the main purpose is to maintain the security of all the citizens. But what would happen if the person who is in jail is innocent? It is proved that some Guantanamo detainees were unjustly captured even outside of the conflict zone. A clear example of this is the case of the 6 Algerian men origin detained in Bosnia and Herzegovina in October 2001. After nearly 7 years at the U.S. detention center at Guantanamo Bay, the investigation produced no evidence to justify the continued detention, and the 6 men were then ordered released. In these circumstances, international humanitarian law did not apply. Since October 7, 2001, when the war in Afghanistan began, 775 detainees have been brought to Guantanamo. Of these, approximately 420 have been released without charges after a long period of time being there, what means more than 50% of the detainees. All these facts are inconsistent with American principles of justice and violates human rights according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Some of the detainees are innocent people who have been suffering torture and later have been released. There are evidence that excessive force was routinely used. An example of this is the case of the 3 British Muslim prisoners who were released in 2004 without charge. They are known as the Caption 3. They 3 have alleged ongoing torture, physical abuse, medical abuse, legal abuse, psychological abuse, sexual degradation, forced drugging, and religious prostitution. Another example is Yuma al-Basari, who claims that he was interrogated hundreds of times, beaten, tortured with broken glasses, burning cigarettes, barbed wire, and sexual assault. If the evidence against the detainee was struck by torture, it can be used in a court. So, the indefinite detention of prisoners for intelligence gathering is unjust. The main purpose is to continue interrogating, but it's essential to consider that conditions at Guantanamo Bay are as harmful to detainees' mental health. There is a dispute over whether detainees may be incarcerated and tried. Some people assume that the United States is engaged in a legally cognizable armed conflict to which the laws of war apply. It may hold capture Al-Qaeda and Taliban operatives throughout that conflict without granting them a criminal trial. On the other hand, some people think that neither members of Al-Qaeda nor their allies must be granted parole status. However, the Supreme Court stated that the Geneva Convention applies to all detainees in the war of terror. According to the U.S. Constitution, detainees have a right to due process in U.S. courts and speedy trial. So, laws making by common consent must not be trampled on by individuals, as George Washington said.
Brian Nesbitt. I'm going to begin off with talking about how actually Guantanamo Bay not having a speedy process can help to disrupt terrorist groups. Not only do you ruin their coordination and their contacts with one another, but I believe it helps to control the environment itself. While they're there and not given speedy processes, we're able to acquire more and more intelligence every day. Dick Cheney talks about it almost every time he comes on. Larry King Live 2007 talks about all the important information gained from not having these speedy processes. And yes, I understand, but they were never given their Miranda rights. They're not U.S. citizens. They don't have to be speedy process. And laws were passed, and in 2001 was the enemy combatant. And until hostilities cease, we do not legally have to have recourse to these judicial processes. We can legally wait until the hostilities cease. And I know, yes, it's changed, but that's still the law. We passed it as a nation. And, you know, that's something they feel that's going to help and stop, you know, Al-Qaeda in the near future, and they continue to practice it. Yes, it is a war, and Guantanamo Bay, since 2001, and since all the media attention, it has changed. There has been changes. Speaking about the torture that's taken place, you know, it's hearsay. You know, some people say this and some say that, and there's been trials, and there's been numerous people from Guantanamo Bay that have just been released. They haven't been gone to court because they said they have been tortured. Okay, that is intelligence gathering. Torturing happens all around the world, whether you want to admit it or not. There's also, I read a report about 14 governors and senators that went down there, and they reported that they saw nothing wrong. They were given free, culturally diverse meals every day. They said they had arrows in the 5 prisons that pointed towards Mecca, so if they wished to pray, they could have. And they said Qurans were given. Now, and also, you know, there's been media attention to the fact that the Quran was disrespected. You know, there's also refuting arguments that say that it never was. So, I mean, once again, it's more hearsay. You can't really prove that. I mean, they've gone to court. Some of them have gone to court, but at the same time, you look at the numbers of the people that we released using speedy process. Okay, there was 10 out of 200 detainees that were released from Guantanamo Bay that have been caught. These are the ones that have been caught, not the ones that we think. They have purposely been caught fighting against U.S. and coalition forces in Afghanistan and Pakistan. If you think about it, that's a really high number for the numbers that have been caught out of the 202 that were released during the speedy process trial. They looked at the U.S. guy that was freed by, we freed this Saudi man, and he became a Quad-eyed chief in Beirut. He's one of the leaders of Al-Qaeda in the Yemen branch, and that's kind of the purpose of, you know, we want to shut this down or we want to speed up these trials, but when we release these people, it's proven that they do get out and they do reoffend. They are still attacking us in terrorist positions. And the militant said al-Shahir, he's expected for one of the bombings that took place at the state embassy in Yemen, and he is also one of the earliest ones. He was released in 2007, and it doesn't really, I don't believe the speedy process is making a difference. Whether we release them early or whether we release them later, they're still, the ones that are terrorists are still attacking us, regardless of whether their trial was short or whether it was long. And I mean, I do believe that Guantanamo Bay, we've been trying. President Bush had tried some things, and Obama says he will shut it down. And, you know, obviously speedy process is kind of a big deal, but they're not U.S. citizens, no matter what you want to say. None of the ones that are, I can understand, but they're all given officials. Whenever they're first sent there, they're eventually given public officials. They're given a copy of their rights, and every year they go in front of the military board, as Dick Cheney would say, and they're given a second chance to hear the trial out.